In today's video, I'm going to be making some changes to the interior of my 2019 TRD Off-Road Tacoma, and these are going to be big ones. Now, those of you who have been following along for a while probably know that I am somebody who enjoys an OEM Plus build, and by that I mean anytime I make an upgrade or change or add a product to my truck, I want it to the best it can be, look like it could have come from the Toyota factory that way. And my own Tacoma here did come loaded with a few packages from the factory, but one I wish I opted for, although was out of budget at the time, was the premium package, which, as its name implies, would have come with leather seats, JBL audio, a moonroof, and more. But not to fear, I'm going to show you how I made my own premium package with customized leather seats, Footwell lighting in the front and back seats that fades on and off when you open and close the doors, and more. Things just got pretty bougie and premium in this Tacoma. Alright, so first starting out with the biggest change you'll see in this video, going from cloth to fully customized leather. Now, I'm not gonna lie, cloth does have its advantages, like if you park your truck on a hot day in the sun and you get in, cloth isn't going to burn the back of your legs like black leather would, but it's also not as durable. It's more difficult to clean, especially when you have a floofy dog, and especially if you like to take him out on the dirt with you. And this is subjective, but I think most people would probably agree it doesn't quite look as good. So for years, my solution was actually installing vinyl seat covers that went over the cloth, and I decided to go with ones from PRP, and they were really nice. I was able to install them myself. They really did look like leather seats from the factory, and they were much better for me than the cloth seats. However, a few things I didn't like were, after a few years, vinyl just doesn't uphold as well as leather does in terms of cracking and scratches for my dog. It just wears in quicker with air bubbles, since it just slips over the seats rather than adheres to them. And with these ones, there's a giant logo on the back headrest that you can't get removed. Also, over time, they get the seat dirty the same way couch cushions do, since they're not fully sealed. Not that I wouldn't recommend these, but I learned that there are much better options for the long haul. I was always a little bit hesitant about going with full leather replacements, since unlike seat covers, you can't just remove those and go back to your original factory seats. But after my couple years of experience with seat covers, I've come to realize that if you plan to keep the truck somewhat long term, and I plan on keeping this truck forever, full leather replacements is really just the way to go. Buy once, cry once. Learn from me. So I think the best place to go for this is Katzkin. My own experience was phenomenal. I do think these seat covers came out amazing. So the way I got started with all of this was after seeing Katzkin on a few Tacomas, I went on their website and designed some seats online, and then they make your custom seats. And instead of installing them yourself, you get them installed by a professional either at a shop, or what I did, they have a mobile installer that will come to you with your new leather. It was pretty cool, so I filmed while they were here, and check it out. I'm so excited for these cloth seats to go. So the mobile installer just came and we got our box of seat covers, which I'm seeing for the very first time with you guys. So let's take a look at what I got, or what's in the box, so you can kind of get an idea of the design. And this is definitely one of the front seats because it's got a seat back pocket, and then here's the rear seats. So in the Tacoma, if you know, there's kind of a 2-1 split. So this is the bottom of two of the seats, and you can see the pattern continues on. Got another bottom rear seat over here too. And then the top of the rear seats all look very similar. Check it out. I'll do a smell test. Oh my god, it smells so good because it's real leather. I'm so stoked about this. Maybe this is gonna make my truck smell new. I'll let you guys know. So obviously this is gonna look a lot better once it's installed in the truck, but kind of what I went with was this gray band over here, and I'll have the exact color on the screen, but the idea was to sort of do my best to color match it to the outside of my truck. Now, the outside of my truck is Silver Sky Metallic, which is, you know, a paint with flake in it, and you can't obviously match that with real leather. But I think this is like, you know, somewhat of a close match. It definitely brings the outside of the truck in. And then I've also got a hex stitch insert, which was intentionally chosen because of the hex shape pattern on the grill. So kind of bringing more of that outside in as well. Maybe a little unconventional or unexpected, but I'm really stoked about this. This is gonna look really good once they're installed. I like that they kept this little elastic band loop for the seat belt. That'll be nice. Then on the front seats, let's find a front seat one. Obviously got a safety first, kept the side airbag. This is one of the reasons you want to get these professionally installed so that OEM systems like the airbags still work properly. But also you can see in these Katzkin seat covers, there are these plastic strips sewed into the seams called listings. If you look at my old PRP covers that just slipped over the seats, they don't have this piece, but having it is what allows the upholstery to securely fasten to the seat frame. Oh, so pro tip, I think these are gonna make my truck smell new because I got a new pair of boxing gloves recently that were real leather, and during the day when I was working, I left them inside my truck, and for the last couple days, my truck's been smelling brand new because it's like the leather's giving off the scent of new car smell, I guess. So yeah, this is a much greater surface area of leather than boxing gloves are. And when these were installed, they really made my truck smell new. But on to the install now. This Katzkin van is where the magic happens because it's equipped with all the tools needed for proper installation. Juan did my rear first and then the fronts. And then he removes the cushion from the frame. Now here he's removing the staples that secure the cover onto the foam to fully remove the OEM cloth cover before the Katzkin leather gets installed. Juan told me I believe that he's been doing this ever since he could remember, and it really shows. I mean, the high quality material is one part of why these seats look as good as they do, but the other is how good your installer is. Because then there's people like me, struggling to even put one staple in. I swear, it's harder than it looks, but just mad respect to all the upholsterers out there. I mean, just look at this guy go with the new leather getting upholstered. I do love to DIY myself, but with Katzkin, you get the professionalism as expected, and stuff like that matters here. And then this was for the rear seat, but what he was doing here, like he did with all the other seats, is steaming them so that the leather is nice and smooth, like you'll see at the end. And for the headrest, this is the coolest tool ever. It like sucks the air out of them so that the leather goes on so easily. In my opinion, covers over headrests are the hardest to install, and uninstall for that matter. The cloth seats just like lacked so much flavor compared to the new leather here. No way. Alright you guys, so Juan's still doing the other seats, but this is the first one he finished. And I think this is called a 40 because in the rear there's, you know, two seats over here and that's called the 60. This is called the 40. This is it in front of the grille specifically, so you can kind of see the pattern, the grille, pattern of the seats. I am very, very stoked about how these came out, and yeah, it'll be good to see them actually in the truck. And when everything is done, the last step is reinstall. Normally, of course, your Katzkin installer would reinstall everything for you, but I specifically asked for the fronts to be left out to make our next project easier. Although we will come back to final thoughts about Katzkin leather at the end of this video. So with my front seats freshly leathered and not installed on the interior of my truck, I thought this would be a more than opportune time to install yet another modification to the interior of my truck. This one, and it is seriously worth its weight in gold. This is the VLEDS rear footwell light add-on kit. This is another one of these Tacoma modifications that is, you know, relatively small and maybe isn't like super mainstream, but once you have them installed, like everyone I've recommended these to is super happy. The before and after is just incredible for everyday use of your truck. All right, so here we have it. We'll do a little unboxing for you guys, as I always do when I install various products. Super clean packaging, reflective of VLED products themselves, in my opinion. The reason I'm speaking so highly of these before I've installed them is because I've got tons of other VLED products on my truck already, if you're familiar with my channel. From my interior lights to my accent lights that go underneath my mirrors that turn on as my doors open and close, to the lights I've installed in my decked drawer system, to the front footwell lighting kit, which is actually what these rear footwell lights will connect into. I've just been so impressed by how clean VLED product installs end up being in my truck. So nonetheless, we'll talk about this one. You can see that there are two footwell lights, or two light bars, that come in this kit. The temperature I got was 5500 K, and there's various different options. I did this to match the front of my truck, but I also considered getting the red interior lights all around. Pretty easy to swap out if I wanted to do that, but I thought just for now I would match the fronts and the rears. And then you could see this kit's pretty simple with a shorter wiring harness as well as two longer ones. And I believe for what I have planned, I'm just going to be using one of the long wiring harnesses and then this short one over here. I will be utilizing some zip ties as well as the 3M adhesive backing. Oh, and this is actually really cool. There are Velcro backed 3M pieces, which is going to come in handy because these are going to go in the back of the seats. So pretty simple kit. Let's get into the install. So you need the front footwell lighting kit from VLEDs in order to get the rear footwell lighting kit installed. I'm just gonna tell you, you should definitely look into them. They make a really big difference. They don't look cheap. I've had mine for over a year now and they're still fully functional like you would expect. I've had zero issues and they're just like, you know, a nice little touch to the interior of your truck. If you're doing this for the first time, I do have an install video on these lights if you're curious. But the way this is going to work today, if you're doing the rear add-on like I am, is you can see on the passenger side here on this light bar, I have a wiring harness, and I'm going to daisy chain my new wiring harness and run that wire back behind a couple of these panel trim pieces and run the wires through the carpet and have one come out where this airbag and other wiring harness comes out. And then the rest of the wiring harness is going to go back here underneath the center console and then to the other side over here in the same fashion. I have a lot more going on in the driver's side over here, as you can see, with my underseat ARB air compressor, which of course I've got a video for this modification. A lot of you guys really like what I've done over here. It's been working great for the last couple years, so you can check out that video as well. But yeah, the wire is going to come out of here and plug into the light that I'm going to put underneath the seat. First thing we're going to do is take apart the center console so that there's room to run the wiring harness to the other side. So pop open the center console. I already took everything out. But there are two 10mm bolts. So this helps hold the center console in. And then if I remember correctly, you also need to take apart the shift knob, which is just pretty simple. You just twist this guy off. And guess what, guys? I'm fancy. I got the TRD one. For real. I do like the feel of this one better than the stock one for what it's worth. Now we don't need this off the whole way. I just kind of want it opened up so I can see where I'm running the wire and put my hands in there and everything. So I think this honestly might be good enough. Now on this side, I'll be taking some of the trim pieces off. It's probably easier if I take out the floor mat. Move that off to the side. This guy off. And this is the only side we have to do it on because, again, we're daisy chaining off of the passenger side front. Let's take one of our long wiring harnesses. I think I'm actually just going to use both long wiring harnesses because the short one's a little too short for the Tacoma. But no worries, that's why they provide two long ones. And I mean, the way this works is really simple. One end is male, the other is female. So we'll look to see what our end over here looks like. That looks like male, so I'll take the female end, connect that. And there's actually arrows telling you where they fit in, so you can't really mess this up. And you can see I'm kind of just going to route the wire, and I'll zip tie everything at the end before I put the trim pieces on. Back here, there's lots of places to zip tie, which is good. And down the side over here, and then down here you can see, I always forget how these open up. Oh, just like that little door. Just run the wire underneath. And then this wire is going to go under the carpet and through this hole. And there is one harness. Now here's my other super long wiring harness that's going to go across to the other side and daisy chain into the light bar that's going on the passenger side rear seat. So the wire we just ran that's coming out over here has a male end. So very important with this other wiring harness, we have to make sure a female end is on this side and the male end is running all the way underneath the center console to the other side for the other light bar. Found it on the other side. This project is all about routing wires. Oh, hold on. Gotta make sure I'm looking at the right end. Oops. There's one end. Now on this side, we've got my mess of an ARB air compressor. It's not actually too much of a mess. You know, when it's all put together, it's pretty clean. Move this guy back. Since it is wired in, I can't completely remove it, but I can kind of push it out of the way. And I'm really just routing this wiring harness to come out of here from this carpet. I will say it does help during these times to have very small hands. Honestly, I think that's kind of the hardest part besides like putting everything, you know, back together. And I'll zip tie everything and make it all pretty too. So don't you guys worry. So I just finished out all the wiring and I zip tied everything in place. So I'll show you that real quick before I put all the trim pieces back on. All right, starting from the source, which is my front footwell light over here. We've got a zip tie, so hard to see, but on one of these wires over here. And then I totally forgot I added these, but basically these are like little wire clips or wire holders They're just on like 3M backing, but yeah, they open up and you can feed wire through it. So I added a couple of these for some other project, whatever this wire is. Maybe this is my pop and lock, I'm not sure. But anyways, I utilized that, and then you guys saw me run wires under here. So there's a couple of places I had zip tied. And because this wiring harness was pretty long, or at least one of them was, I folded it back a few times. And this is about, for both harnesses, how much room I left. You have to remember the light's gonna be mounted on the seat, which can move forward or backwards, so you do want some flexibility. But this is, I think, more than we'll need, because the seat, it can't move all the way back. This is basically like almost touching the back of the seat. I think I put a zip tie right here too. And on the other side, I've had these tires in my garage for a year. I need to sell them. They're my original Land Cruiser tires. Anyways, another zip tie over here, and then under the carpet where the wire comes through, zip tied it to the main wiring harness, and same sort of situation. I didn't have as much room on this side, but this goes out pretty far, so not too worried about the length there. But yeah, let's put everything, you know, back together, because I'm really excited to get my front seats actually in here, because I haven't seen them yet. The center console has been sitting in a rather precarious position for the duration of this install, which, to be fair, hasn't been super long, but kind of glad it's going back to its regular state. Just have to be careful, because, you know, these whole things are made of like plastic, and plastic clips tend to break really easily when you're not very careful, which I try to be careful, but sometimes you can't. If you take these things apart over and over again, it's hard to avoid it. Just do your best to make sure everything's all lined up, which I'm not. Okay, everything seems to be secure and in place. And then don't forget your two little 10mm bolts that go in the center console. And then this was a good opportunity to vacuum, since the seats were in the way, before actually putting them in, which is always a bit of a struggle for me, but I just take my time. Torque these, very important. You don't want seat bolts to be loose. All right, last but certainly not least, we've got to actually plug in our lights. So I put the Velcro 3M sticker backing on it, which is great because the bottom of my seats are made of Velcro, and I can also adjust them. So first thing I'm gonna do is plug this in, and I did test this, but hopefully now that everything is put back together, it works. So female to male. Ooh, all right, that's a good sign. And then this is our daisy chain for the other side. So the door is open, which is why these are turning on. I do have plenty of room, but I don't want the light, if possible, or the light bar to be seen, but I do want the light to be seen. So let's try like Velcroing it far back. And the issue with Velcroing it far back is that the light doesn't come out as far, but I think this is actually a pretty good result. So if I move the front seat back a little bit, maybe a more normal position would be over here, because these things do go pretty far back. We do get quite a bit of accent lighting, so I actually really like that placement. I'm gonna try to mimic that on the other side. And there it is, both rear seats. So we'll do a quick demo, close the doors. Definitely can't see very well through the tinted glass. Sorry, it's all just my reflection. Let's see if we can catch it fast enough when I open the door. Here we go. Boom. Rear lights come on. How cool is that? I like it. Nice and subtle, but useful when it's pitch black on the trails and you can't see anything and you're trying to grab stuff back here. So that's that. So I'm obviously very happy with how all this turned out. It looks awesome all put together with the seats back in, and I'm happy to finally just take it all in. For the Katzkin leather, appearance here was a big objective, and these seats I designed, of course, are a style I like. The theme I was going for here was making it unique without going over the top. But I also wanted to highlight that a big reason I went the leather route was when Cody tracks in dirt, I can wipe it away, which is so hard to do with cloth because it will like rub in instead. And also, besides the appearance, the hex stitching particularly feels like a mini massage on my back and legs. These literally just got installed yesterday, and I took the PRP seat covers off about a month ago. So between that time and today, I've gone back to the cloth seats, and I totally forgot there's just like a lot of random little lifestyle things that are annoying about living with cloth seats. I'm one of those really annoying people that doesn't eat in the truck. I don't allow any sugary drinks, except I do make exceptions for water, of course, and also coffee. I just don't think I could live without that. But having the cloth seats and any potential spills with coffee, that was a little annoying, and thankfully there weren't any accidents. But I did go out to Arizona and did a couple of trails, and I didn't have my dog, so things weren't as messy, but I definitely tracked a lot of dirt onto the cloth seats. Also going to the gym, sweating, and in particular boxing, which is what I do, and having other people sweat on you. I know that's super, super gross, but that's just what boxing is. Sitting in those cloth seats because I like to shower at home instead of at the gym is, I don't know, it was kind of gross. What's also very nice is looking back here, you get a seat back pocket here, and in that seat too. For some reason, the factory cloth seats only come with a seat back pocket on one side. No idea why. So you guys get the point. I wanted leather seats from the premium package, but now arguably I got something better because I was able to customize it to my liking. So definitely don't hesitate to pull the trigger on Katzkin if it's something you've really been thinking about. And the VLEDs lighting really brings the interior of the truck up a notch. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video of interior upgrades to make by Tacoma have the premium package. If you like what you see and want more content from me, definitely check out my Instagram. That is where I post most of my stuff in real time. I am at ChloeKuo Taco. Other than that, subscribe if you like the channel, and I hope I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.